Everything we do and create in our lives begins in our minds. Through the use of our imagination, we form ideas, images, and concepts. Our ability to see things before they show up in physical form is what drives and enables us to work towards the manifestation of our goals. And science shows that the better we visualize the future we are creating, the better the chances are that we will experience that as our physical reality. In order to create reality deliberately, it's imperative that we develop our mental skills so our brain and body will automatically take us to our desired destination. To do this, we separate our mental senses and learn to develop and control them independent of our physical senses. You probably already know that our brains cannot differentiate well between real action and imagined mental action. Research shows that just thinking about something in great sensory detail will fire neural pathways in the brain just as if that thing is actually being done in that moment. Here's a little fun experiment you can try to prove this to yourself. Hold a piece of string between two fingers and let it hang while keeping your hand as still as possible. As you do this, use your imagination to see this string twirling around. Most often, just this act of imagining will show movement in the string after just a few moments of doing this, even if just slightly. It's not necessarily that you're moving the string with your mind, but that your mind is creating automatic actions through the use of your imagination, and in this case through slight muscle movement. But if you have difficulty making this work for you, I'm going to give you some tips to increase your visualization power with a few sensory development exercises so you can increase your manifestation power. Let's discuss the ways to enhance your visualization processes through the sense of sight first. Most everyone has the ability to create an accurate mental image of the rooms in their home and the details of those rooms. If I asked you to tell me what type of furniture was in your bedroom, you would easily be able to recall those details based on the imagery in your mind. So this is your internal visualization muscle. And the starting point is to work with what your mind already knows how to do and build that muscle through practice. Here's how to do it. Take a quick trip through the different rooms in your home, noticing as many details as possible. And then choose anywhere from 3 to 5 objects to examine closely, noticing their shapes, colors, textures, and anything else you can see. After you've completed this, immediately sit down somewhere and attempt to duplicate with your mind what you have just physically seen. Use your mind to mentally walk through your home in the same manner you just did, and try to recall all of the details that you noticed when you were physically looking at these things. It's likely that you have the ability to create an accurate mental picture of these rooms and the objects in your home. And if you don't at first, you will with practice. The more you try this exercise, the stronger your visual mental abilities will become. This will also help you do 2 things. Number 1, you'll enhance your first-person point of view when visualizing, which is extremely important when imagining our goals because the subconscious mind will interpret it as actually happening. And number 2, you'll build your imagery muscle so you can begin to see your visualizations in much better detail in your mind. This is another important aspect of deliberate manifestation from the subconscious mind point of view. Here's another way to build this muscle. Go outside and take a look around. Your own yard will work just fine for this. Take just a few seconds to look around at what you see, and then remaining where you are, close your eyes for a few moments and try to immediately visualize what you were just looking at. Notice how many details you can remember and attempt to see those details clearly in your mind for a minute or 2. After you've completed this, open your eyes again and look around at the same environment. You'll most likely find yourself noticing more detail this time around. And then close your eyes again and notice how much more detailed your mental image is. As you continue to repeat these steps, it's very likely that you'll gain a greater depth of clarity and awareness each time you do it. Because our minds don't know the difference between something real and something imagined, the more sensory detail we can add, the more our minds will drive us towards the manifestation of that goal. For the sense of touch, you can repeat the process of walking through your home But this time, touch the items you previously just looked at, noticing all of the details of how they feel when you do. What's the temperature of it? What's the texture? Are there any rough or smooth areas? Take your time doing this and try to collect as many details as you can with the sense of touch. And then immediately go back to your place of visualization and attempt to recreate how those objects just felt to you. Because you've just touched them, this will be fresh in your mind and teach your subconscious to pay more attention to these things and file those notations away for later use with your visualization processes. Another great way to enhance the way your mind remembers physical sensation on your skin is by walking barefoot in the grass. When doing this, you will immediately feel the need to be more attentive to where you're stepping, and this will also cause you to slow down. Your brain will give you the tendency to look down at your feet as a means of protection, but try to resist this urge and instead focus on not committing to put your full weight on your foot and your leg until you felt your way around and you're certain that you won't step on a stick or a rock or some other object. Use your feet like a second pair of eyes. Just walk slowly, and through the sensation of touch, notice how it feels and what you imagine it looks like as you do. This will connect your sense of touch and imagery in a very strong way. And then once you've completed this, sit somewhere quietly and attempt to duplicate the sensations you've just felt with your mind. Here are some ways to increase your auditory senses for visualization. Listen intently for a sound that repeats itself over and over again. A good example of this might be a bird singing, or raindrops on your roof, a tree that rustles in the wind, or even the sound of a fan spinning. Sounds that repeat themselves have a natural rhythm, and that's what you're attempting to tap into with this exercise. By listening carefully, the rhythm of these sounds changes very subtly over time. And the trick to hearing these subtle changes is counting. So try counting each repetition of the sound you've chosen. For instance, if you're listening to a bird outside singing, count how many times in a row it does so. And if your mind drifts from the sound, begin your counting again. So why would you do this? For most, we often learn to tune out what we are hearing in an effort to concentrate on other things. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but when you learn to tune in specifically to sound, you can develop a strong auditory sense that you can tap into at will and use effectively to enhance your visualization processes. So when first trying this process, you may discover that you don't make it much past 5 or 10 repetitions of counting without your mind moving on to other things. But with practice, you can teach your ears to develop a heightened sense that you can use at will in both the physical world as well as the imaginary world. To enhance your sense of smell, simply find scents around your house and take in deep breaths and notice how the aromas feel to you. You can even take a trip out into your own backyard and smell the grass, trees, or flowers, and then immediately close your eyes and duplicate the process with your mind, attempting to really bring back what you just smelled and how it made you feel. It should also be noted that smell and taste are the two most closely connected senses, and the development of these senses occurs together from an early age. In fact, more than 75% of taste comes from the sense of smell. So you can easily use exercises that combine both senses and enhance the two simultaneously. So with your next meal, take a moment to both smell and taste each bite in great detail. And once again, close your eyes after you've completed this and relive it in as much detail as possible with your mind. One of the keys to making each of these processes work for you is to immediately visualize what you've just done right after you do it. And then recall how you did this through your own eyes and hone in on the sense involved. Because you've just physically enacted it, your brain will not have much difficulty remembering it. It will already be fresh in the mind. And by continuously and consciously creating these types of sensory-rich and detailed visualizations, you train your brain to do this at your command. The goal with each of these processes is to teach your mental senses to work for you and to develop your mental creativity to such an extent that your creations seem just like the real thing to your mind. When your creations are real to your mind first, there's a much larger chance that it will seek that out and make it a part of your physical reality. Just like in the string demonstration in the beginning of this video, you give your mind a command, and then it animates your body in a specific way that drives you to a specific set of circumstances. The more you focus on each of your individual senses, the more you'll explore powerful dimensions of your mind that have the ability to propel you into a dynamic new future.